Imagine spending 10 years of your life becoming one of the most beloved characters in movie history, and then watching someone else take your place. That's exactly what's happening to Rupert Grint, the man who was Ron Weasley for an entire generation. For over a decade, every joke, every act of bravery, every awkward smile, it was him. But now, more than 20 years after the first Harry Potter film, HBO is bringing the story back to life with a brand new cast, new Harry, new Hermione, and yes, a new Ron. So how does the original Ron Weasley feel about this? Is he excited, proud, or is there something about this remake that still doesn't sit right with him? Rupert has finally broken his silence, and his answer isn't what anyone expected. Because while he's thrilled to see Hogwarts return, he's also revealed a truth about his time in the role that almost no fan has ever heard before. A truth that might completely change the way you see this reboot. And once you hear it, you'll understand exactly why this moment is so bittersweet for him. When Warner Bros. Announced that HBO would be rebooting Harry Potter as a long-form TV series, the internet didn't just react, it exploded. Social media was flooded with posts, theories, and heated debates. Some fans couldn't wait, picturing epic, high-budget recreations of their favorite moments, new backstories for forgotten characters, and a chance to explore parts of the wizarding world the films never touched. But others saw it differently. To them, the original cast wasn't just part of the story, they were the story. Replacing them felt like rewriting history, and for Rupert Grint, the man who played Ron Weasley from the age of 11 to 22, the news hit differently. It wasn't just nostalgia, it was a strange mix of pride and something harder to put into words. He remembered that very first audition, when he was just a shy kid from Hertfordshire sending in a video of himself rapping about why he should play Ron. He remembered growing up on set, the friendships, the exhaustion, the pressure of having millions of eyes on you before you were even old enough to drive. And he remembered the final day of filming Deathly Hallows Part 2, when he walked off set believing that chapter of his life was over forever. But this time, the announcement wasn't a reunion, it wasn't a tribute to the original films, it was a full reset. Every role recast, every scene reimagined from scratch. For Rupert, it was bittersweet, because while the idea of a new generation falling in love with Hogwarts is something he'll always support, he also knows something most fans don't, that playing Ron Weasley comes with a hidden weight, a pressure that no script, no acting class, and no director can prepare you for. And here's the thing, the way Rupert talks about it, that pressure isn't just about living up to the books, it's about surviving the life that comes with the role. For Rupert, stepping into Ron's shoes wasn't just about nailing the jokes or pulling off that classic awkward charm, it was living under a spotlight that never switched off. From the moment the first film hit theaters, the cast became global icons. Every interview, every photo, every rumor, it followed them everywhere. And for Rupert, the fame came with a strange reality. People didn't see Rupert anymore. They saw Ron. He once admitted that it felt like he was living in two worlds. The magical one fans expected, and the real one where he was just a young guy trying to figure out who he was. The pressure to be Ron all the time could be exhausting. And now, watching a new actor step into that role, Rupert knows exactly what's waiting for them on the other side of the fame. It's not just about playing a character, it's about becoming a symbol, one that fans will fiercely protect, criticize, and compare to the original. And speaking of fiercely protective, if you're still here listening to me spill all this Hogwarts drama, you're clearly one of us. So do yourself a favor and hit subscribe before the Sorting Hat puts you in Hufflepuff out of spite. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Rupert didn't just share his concerns about the pressure. He also revealed something about his own time on set that completely changes the way you see the original films. When most people think of filming Harry Potter, they picture pure magic. Wand battles, laughter on set, and a cast that felt like family. And sure, there were those moments. But Rupert recently revealed that behind the cameras, it wasn't always as light-hearted as fans imagine. For him, the films became something of a double-edged sword. The longer the series went on, the more intense the schedule became. Months of 14-hour days, sometimes shooting in freezing conditions, and constantly jumping between schoolwork and blockbuster filmmaking. There were days, Rupert admitted, where it didn't feel like an adventure anymore. It felt like a machine. And while he's grateful for everything the role gave him, he's also honest enough to say there were moments he wanted to walk away. Not because he didn't love Ron, but because the sheer weight of being Ron, day after day, year after year, could be overwhelming for a teenager. He even revealed that during certain films, he struggled to watch himself on screen because he no longer recognized the kid he was when the journey started. The fame, the pressure, the endless work, it all left a mark that's still with him today. And that's why, when he sees HBO casting a new Ron, he doesn't just think, will they be good? He thinks, will they survive it? But here's the twist. Rupert's reaction to the reboot isn't just personal, it also connects to a bigger truth about why this new series could succeed or fail spectacularly. Rupert knows the Harry Potter universe better than almost anyone. Not just the magic on screen, but the reality behind the scenes. And that's exactly why his reaction to the HBO reboot is so layered. On one hand, he believes the series could be incredible. Long-form storytelling means entire chapters from the books that were skipped in the films could finally come to life. Minor characters could get full arcs, plot lines like SPEW, Peeves the Poltergeist, and the Marauder's backstory could finally be shown in detail. But he also sees the risk. Harry Potter isn't just another franchise, it's sacred ground for millions of fans who grew up with the films. The smallest casting choice, the tiniest change in tone, could trigger backlash that drowns out everything the series does right. And Rupert's biggest concern? The emotional connection. He knows that part of why the original cast worked so well was because they were those characters as they grew up. The audience watched them age in real time, forming a bond you can't fake, and that magic might be impossible to recreate. Still, he's not rooting against it. In fact, he said he's genuinely curious to see how the new generation makes the roles their own. But he also left fans with a quiet warning that Hogwarts may feel different this time, and people will need to be ready for that. And speaking of different, Rupert also revealed the one thing about the reboot that genuinely excites him, and it's something no one saw coming. For all the mixed emotions Rupert has about the reboot, there's one part of it that genuinely puts a smile on his face, and it's not what you'd expect. It's the chance to finally see every detail from the books come alive. For years, Rupert, just like fans, wished certain scenes had made it into the films, like the full chaos of the Quidditch World Cup, the darker details of the Half-Blood Prince's past, or those small but powerful moments between Ron and Hermione that never made it to the screen. He laughed in an interview saying, I mean, as long as they keep Ron eating constantly and panicking about homework, I'll be happy. That's the important canon, right? And honestly, if the man who is Ron Weasley is okay with a reboot, maybe we can all take a deep breath and give it a chance. By the way, if you're still here listening to me talk about Rupert's snack habits, you clearly belong in this channel's Gryffindor common room. So hit subscribe now and drop a comment telling me which scene you hope the HBO series finally brings to life. And if you say more Quidditch, Rupert might personally approve. But there's still one last thing, because Rupert's final words on the reboot might just be the most revealing of all. When all the interviews, speculation, and fan theories are stripped away, Rupert's final words on the HBO reboot are surprisingly simple and surprisingly human. He said that no matter how the series turns out, Harry Potter will always be a huge part of who he is. Not because of the fame, not because of the money, but because those 10 years shaped him in ways no other role ever could. Rupert admitted there's a strange comfort in knowing the story will live on, even if it's told with new faces, new voices, and maybe even a slightly different kind of magic. It's like handing over your old school to a new class, he explained. You hope they look after it, but you know they're going to make it their own, and that's okay. For fans, that might be the perfect way to look at it. The films we grew up with aren't going anywhere. They're frozen in time, ready to be rewatched whenever we want. The HBO series? That's just another chapter. And who knows? It might surprise even the most skeptical fans. And if you've made it this far, I'll take that as proof you're as deep in this Hogwarts rabbit hole as I am. So hit subscribe before Peeves the Poltergeist starts hiding your remote, and let me know in the comments. Will you be watching the HBO reboot, or are you sticking with the originals? Because next time, we're diving into what Daniel Radcliffe really thinks about the reboot. And trust me, that one's going to be even spicier. In the end, Rupert Grint's reaction to the poor Harry Potter series isn't one of anger or jealousy. It's a mix of curiosity, pride, and a healthy dose of caution. Because no one understands the magic and the pressure of being part of this world better than the original cast. He's not here to gatekeep Hogwarts. If anything, he's ready to see how a whole new generation steps into the castle gates. But he's also realistic, knowing that the moment those new actors put on the robes, the world will be watching, judging, and comparing them to the ones who came before. For Rupert, it's like watching someone else move into your childhood home. The walls are the same, the memories are still there, but the furniture's been changed, the colors are different, and the new owners are going to throw a few parties you never would have. Maybe that's the beauty of it. The story keeps growing, even when the original chapter has ended. And in a way, that's the most magical thing of all. So whether you're all in for the reboot, or you're clinging to your worn-out DVD box set like it's a Horcrux, one thing's certain: Hogwarts will always be there to welcome you home. And hey, if you've made it through this whole video without hitting subscribe, that's basically like sneaking into the Great Hall without a robe on. Technically possible, but a terrible life choice. So smash that subscribe button, drop a comment with your dream casting for Ron Weasley, and maybe, just maybe, the next Chocolate Frog card will have your name on it.